Hi everyone, this is MUCIAN straight outer MUCIAN lifestyle. Today I've come up with something that is special for you, my people, who have been looking at learning videography, learning on how to edit movies, how to edit short movies, how to edit anything dealing with videos, and we are going to be looking at some ideas that we happen to collaborate with Tel where we happened to collaborate with Tel and came up with a short movie that we are going to be basically editing and sharing ideas with you. So most of you have been like wanting to learn about videography. So what is videography? What is video editing? So what softwares are basically used when you are editing? We are going to be looking at some of them, mentioning some of them, and we are basically going to be using one software that is Premiere Pro, and that is Premiere Pro 2019. So that is basically the software we are going to be using. So for those that are not having it, you can happen to download it from Adobe websites and some other websites where you can happen to get them. So besides that, what comes or what should come into your mind if someone talks of video editing? So video editing is the manipulation and arrangement of video shots. Okay, video editing is the manipulation and arrangement of video shots. So it is like we are playing around with different shots. Say you have happened to take different video shots as you see here. We took different video shots using a camera, okay, where these young ladies were basically acting, okay. We happened to take different angles, different positions, different costumes they were wearing, and they were doing different activities, okay. Then manipulating them is like we put them in the software, then we happen to cut and fix them together to come up with one single clip that you watch and you enjoy the movie basically. So that is like the manipulation we talk of. We remove sound, we put in some other sound, we like do some voiceovers, we put in colors to color grade or color correct. So basically that is what we would call video manipulation or manipulating of shots, okay. Then besides that, we also talk about video editing in another way, where we could understand it as something that is used to structure and present all video information, okay. So if we want to portray something, it may be text, okay, it may be shapes, it may be including films, television shows, video adverts, text adverts, okay, or video essays, even slides, photo slides. Say you have happened to go for an adventure, then you happen to shoot the moments that you have been having at that side, whether photos or videos. Then after you come to your software, you sit down and like try to animate them around. So that is all videography. So we go back to the conclusion that says video editing is the manipulation and arrangement of video shots, okay. So let me hope on that we are together. Then when we happen to have the overview of the different softwares that someone can happen to use when doing video editing, we have different softwares. There are many softwares out there that you can depend on when you're video editing. Some are basically online, whereby you cannot download them, you cannot own them, but you continue subscribing for that monthly subscription. And some can be bought or can be both. It is you to decide. So whether you own that software, by owning it I'm meaning you buy it, then you install it on your software and you use that version for a period, then after you like get it off. Now with my Premiere Pro, this is not a subscription. I bought it, so it is on my computer. So if at all I want to advance, maybe to Premiere Pro that is 2023, 2025 and above, so it also does what? It also depends on my computer. So you have to make sure that basically your computer is a little bit strong before you think of going for a bigger version or a latest version. So when we talk of 2019 and above, that is 2020, 2021, 2023 to 2025 over 2024, if it is already out there, then your computer should be a little bit stronger. Then on our overview of the softwares, we have Adobe Premiere Pro. That is the best and the professional video editing software. Okay, Premiere Pro is the best and professional editing software. That thing, you should note that. So, but that does not limit you, meaning that if you don't use Adobe Premiere Pro, you won't shoot to your best or achieve what you're aiming at achieving. So it also comes back to your creativity. However much you use the best softwares, you use the biggest gadgets, but when you're less creative, it basically means you won't produce content that is worthy. So some of the softwares we can use, we have Adobe Premiere Pro, Apple Final Cut Pro. Okay, that is also good. Then we have Apple iMovie. It is also good. Most of these softwares I'm mentioning off are good, okay? But there are two basically that I would recommend you at least to have. Adobe Premiere Pro, then Apple Final Cut Pro, okay? So for those lessons we are going to be having, because I'm having a Windows computer, we are going to be using Premiere Pro, that is for Windows. Then we have Cyberlink, we have Corel Video Studio, we have DaVinci Resolve, Movavi, and Pinnacle Studio Ultimate. So those are some of the softwares that we may happen to use. But now for today we are going to be using Premiere Pro, that is 2019, CC 2019. So the moment we happen to launch it, so what you have to do is I'll make a video on how to install it, where to get it for either free or for paying. Okay, but for now let us look at, we assume that you already have it. Okay, so if I'm having my Premiere Pro, then I click on its icon and it launches up, it starts and launches up. So the next thing I do is I come here and click File. So we are going to be looking at how to import. Okay, so we are either importing an image or a file, not a folder, but we are importing, we are like starting up the project. Okay, before we import, we first start the project. So we come here to File and then come to New. Okay, then we come to Project. Then when we happen to come there, what we do next is to give it a name. Okay, so the project we are basically working on today is Baboons and Cats. So this project I happen to work with Tail to come up with this project. So big up to Tail. And it is a hip hop short movie. Okay, MUCIAN Scripts worked with Tail, and we came up with a short movie that is based on hip hop, and it is a wonderful short movie that you shouldn't miss. So we are going to be editing and going around with a colleague of mine, and we try to edit it as you see. So where we have not explained, you can give a comment in the comment section and we give you more light on that section. And what you have to do basically is to just look and understand where we have not mentioned maybe. So that is all that you have to do. So another thing that I want to like inform you is, remember to subscribe to this channel. Okay, remember to subscribe to this channel. We are always having different lessons from graphics, from music, and from other categories of things that make us grow, that equip your knowledge with something. So remember to subscribe and keep watching. And the tutorials that we provide here are basically free. So what do we do when we remember to come to this step? We came to file, then we came to new, then we came to project. Then when we happen to come to project, what did we do? What would we do next? So first of all, when we start up a project, we have to give it a name. Remember, I told you that this short movie is called Baboons and Cats. So we type in baboons and cats. Okay, so it is always better before you start editing or importing even something into your project, for easy tracking and for easy placement of your works, because you may forget where like some of your projects are located. Let's assume you have to shift it and give it to another person, maybe to continue from there. At least it is better to gather all your videos in a certain folder, whether you used more than one camera, whether you went on separating each scene alone. Okay, so you have to make sure that you create a folder where you're going to be saving everything about the project. So now for me, I saved my videos on local disk I, then from memory card, then I also named it Baboons and Cats. Okay, for that is the easy identification. So whatever we are going to be, whether we are saving, whether we are introducing a song into our project, we first make sure that it is basically saved in that folder. So these are the videos, and our folder is basically called Baboons and Cats. So we go back and click on our project. So we come here, we give it a name, that is Baboons and Cats. Then from there we come, so it is showing where this project is going to be located. But when we looked at our folder, we happened to see that when we were grouping our project or putting it in a folder, it isn't on disk C. Remember, I told you that when you are editing, you have to make sure that you place everything you are editing in a given folder, whereby you can easily track them and find them. Okay, so we come to the browser. Then from the browser, we select which disk do we want. Remember, I showed you that we kept our video on local disk I. That is where the folder is. So from local disk I, we come to from memory cards. Then we go and select our our folder. Okay, so after selecting it, now we can save. Okay, so we have saved it under local disk I, from memory card, Baboons and Cats. Then that is where we saved it. Then after saving our project, what is next? We have the video playback. For this first time, don't tamper with these. Just leave them as they are. Okay, just leave them as they are. Don't tamper with them. Then we say, okay, we shall be looking at that some other time in detail here. Then from there, your computer loads with here the title bar having what? Having the title of your movie. Okay, so after the software loading, remember I told you I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro, that is CC 2019. So you may be having a better version by the time you see this video, or you may also be having a version that is less depending on your computer, but the interface almost looks the same. Most of the tools remain the same, but it is just the arrangement that they happen to change in different versions. Okay, now from there we are basically going to be looking at not deep onto the software, but we are going to be looking at handling the project, and the tools that are basically going to be used to handle this project are basically what we are going to be talking about. Okay, then if you want to learn this videography from scratch, so continue following us. We shall be releasing some series of videos that will help you understand videography more, video editing more, color grading, and some other stuff that is basically into video editing, animation, graphics designing, and so many other stuff. So we are basically giving out everything for free. And if you happen to see that this is something that is hopeful and should go on, you go into our description section and through our PayPal account, you put something. Now, as we continue with our video, we come here now to import. Okay. Then we place that. Remember, we are not importing a folder, but we can import a folder. Let me first go back here. So with this, we can happen to import a full folder into this project space over project panel. So we can happen to import the whole folder, but for now, we are basically, let us come here. We are basically just importing a video. We can also just do something here. If we happen to come here on these arrows, so whenever you are, if at all you have been following this channel, remember when we were understanding the basics of our graphics designing, I talked about something and I told you that whenever you see arrows on a certain icon, just know that it isn't one item under that icon. Okay, so whenever you see arrows, just know that there are more than two items, more than one item under that icon you are seeing. So we are seeing some two arrows pointing our right hand, as you see it here. So it is pointing your right hand. Then we choose project. Okay, so that is our project. The moment, let us first go back here. If we are in effects, we are only seeing the folder icon. That is new what? New custom bin. Another thing with softwares talk. The moment before you click, the moment you point into something, it tells you the name. It also tells you the name. Okay, so even if you don't know, like when you point in something tells you what it is called. So it is always easier to like avoid a lot of mistakes with softwares, okay, because they speak to you. So be ready to read before like you act. First, like read and understand, then maybe you also visualize. Then from there, we've had that. Then what we do, we go back. The moment we click on project, you notice there are a lot of icons that happen now to pop up. So we are not going to be covering everything, but we are going to be considering what we may need for this project. So now we can click a folder and make sure that we insert different scenes into different folders. Okay, but for now we are not going to be, we can even rename them. As you see, I've introduced a folder, then I give it a name, scene 1. Okay, so that means that when I'm inside this folder, if I happen to import, everything I import goes into that folder. Okay, because This is the folder. The moment I double click in it, so it opens up in the project panel, it opens up a new window, meaning that anything I happen to import when I'm in that window or docket, it basically means that everything will be put inside that. Okay, so I don't want it. So the moment I come there and I click, so I can say close what? Either undock or close. So undocking would mean that, let us try to undock. Are you seeing? So it basically means that we've removed that part. So with these softwares, you can, Adobe softwares, you can disarrange or dismantle everything. So we shall be looking at understanding the interface, understanding everything about Premiere Pro in some of our videos to come later. So from there we can come and just grab it. Are you seeing? Then as I move it, it like shows these boundaries. It is like showing me where I can insert it. So the moment I place it somewhere according to what I see, are you seeing that? So where you see that bluish thing, so it is where it is going to be inserted. Are you seeing that? So I've put it back. Then from there, I don't want it because I was just showing you something. So I go to close this group or close this panel because it is a panel, not a group. So I close it. Okay. Then I go back to my what? Project. So after that, now what do? I delete this because I don't want it. I was just showing you an example. So because you're someone who is basically new to the software, you need to like go on picking up everything slowly. So what we would do is we begin with importing one clip. So whenever you are importing, maybe let's say you use different cameras and you have different footage. So what do? We consider, for me, I consider the camera with the most number of clips. Okay, let's say it is the main camera. That camera I used as the main camera. Then I pick a clip to set my composition or sequence settings. Okay, you get it. So now what I do is I come here to file, then go to import. Then from the folder where we saved our clips, I go there, then choose one clip. So for these clips, basically we used the same camera. We never changed the image quality, so it is okay. So I just choose one clip, then import it. Are you seeing that? Then after choosing that one clip, now to make sure that I have not tampered with any of the composition settings and I'm not going to struggle with first rendering, then after I happen to preview. Okay, so to look organized and to be organized with my work, so I'm going to get this clip, then drop it here. So what is this icon called? Are you seeing? New item. Okay, the moment I get this clip and drop it here, that means that the timeline and this composition settings are going to basically pick the settings of this clip I've chosen. Okay, so when we are editing, our composition is going to be having these settings. So if at all this first clip I've dropped is in 4K, it means that my screen, this screen here, is going to be having settings of 4K. The moment I just make it full HD, it means that that is what it is going to be having. So now what we do, we are having this clip. So we've done that. Then the next thing that we would do is, now I'm going to get the other clips. Okay, since I've finished setting this, okay, and making sure that I'm having the right composition settings. Now I can pick these clips straight away from this side. Maybe depending on your computer, you can, the strength of your computer and the footage that you shot, because this is just normal HD, that is 1920 by 1080. So if I happen to grab these, so I click on this, then hold a shift and click on this. So I'm like importing 1, 2, 3, 4 clips. So I click, hold the mouse, then drag. Then without leaving the mouse button, I point on the software, then it pops up. Then I move this mouse while still holding. Remember, I'm holding these clips. So the moment you bring it into the software, you don't release your mouse. Are you seeing? So we can move them in front, we can move them to the back, we can move them closer. So I'm just playing around with the mouse before I release these clips. Okay? So if I happen to like extend them behind, so the clips are basically also extended behind. Okay? Then after I release that, so if you have noticed here, it was loading the clips, showing you that it is rendering them so that we may have them here on our timeline. So from there, now we like preview the clips. So now here, as I preview, I don't know if we shall be picking this sound, but never mind if you don't hear the sound of these young ladies and gentlemen as they act. Okay, so this is Tel. We collaborated to come up with this project that is a short movie called Baboons and Cats. That is a hip-hop movie and it is a short movie. So I happen to click here. Tutandise? So are you seeing that? The clip is a little bit shaky. Okay. So, and if we happen to look at these video clips, so it is like, but it is. We shot different angles of the same clips. So when you're like shooting a movie, shoot more than you need. That is one. Then two, when you're shooting a movie, whether a short movie, whether music video, remember to shoot more than what you will need. Remember to shoot B-rolls. Remember to shoot the folds, whereby you shoot the whole screen, like you shoot the whole person. Remember to have the close-up shots. Then remember to have those tights, where you have that total close-up of the actor. Okay. Then remember to also consider sound, because once sound is very poor, then it is rarely bearable. Okay, so remember to subscribe and stay watching. So I'm still continuing with this video, but I'm going to make a stop and we pick up from there. Hey.